and some of the spots that they're worried about with their own team. And so just wanted to relay those to everybody out there. They're extremely nervous about their offensive line and especially inside. They're worried about their two guards. This Mark Glowinski, who they signed from Indianapolis, they thought that he was going to be this end-all, be-all at guard. They thought he was going to be very stable, very stout at the points of attack and things like that. It hasn't been the case at all, and they're worried about him in this matchup. Him and then Ben Brinson, who is the other guard, is another problem there. They got him in a trade from the Baltimore Ravens, but they're really, really worried about number 64, Mark Lewinsky, in this matchup, because they feel like that. And I was trying to tell them, like, listen, the Dallas defensive tackles haven't done great, with some of the pass rush stuff they've had. But I mean, they're like, no, this could be a problem for us. This was one of these games where if you're going to call, they're fine with their tackles. They think Andrew Thomas, the left tackle, is going to be a Pro Bowl player. And they think that Evan Neal, they said Evan Neal, the other tackle, the right tackle, hasn't been perfect, but he's getting there. But they're worried about
you think Dan
inside.
Quinn sends guys in the middle? We got twists and stunts happening.
Yeah,
we got A-gap blitzing.
That's their fear. That's the fear of theirs with how much movement that the Cowboys have up front, and how they can throw different combinations at you. So this is why I asked you guys earlier, if you're the Cowboys, do you think about playing more base defense? I mean, base, keeping the extra linebacker on the field. Now, you might see it with Wilson playing down in the box as that's, the safety that plays the linebacker. But this might be one of those games where you just want to go ahead and play base with the three linebackers and try and control the run, because making them the biggest way that the Giants can hurt you in this football game is running the football, whether it's Saquon Barkley or Daniel Jones.
Sure, right. And do you feel like Saquon Barkley is amazing? I mean, I know it's like 40 carries for 236. He's averaging 6.1, but so much of that came against the Titans. It's just not normal. Yeah. Last week, it was back to 3.4 yards per attempt. I don't know what the film showed you.
Yeah.
He's probably still a good running back, but I don't see like the crazy athleticism that he came into the NFL with. Maybe the injuries have taken a little bit of that from him, and you have a more human as opposed to freakish type of Saquon.
I worry about the Tennessee one showing up.
Okay.
That's what I would worry about, because Carolina did a good job up front of handling the Giants. But I worry about, because and Zach, I know everybody's watched the tape of these guys or seen games of these guys. Didn't it seem like when they hand him the ball, it's always like 4 or 5 yards?
Yeah.
It just seems like he falls forward and he gets 5 yards.
Yeah, he does. And look, I thought last week the Cowboys actually did a better job than I thought against Joe Mixon.
Mm-hmm.
But you're 100% right. When the Giants are successful offensively, it's all right. It's Barkley carrying them down the field.
Yeah.
And they're getting the run game going. Now, and when the Giants have had success outside of Kadarius Toney last year, and Toney's not going to be available tonight, it's Barkley's had great games against the Cowboys. You go back to 2019, he had 120 yards on just 11 carries. And then last year he got hurt in the first game against the Cowboys. So you make an excellent point, which is why there's got to be something that's come out of the Star, because we heard Mickey Spagnuolo on with KNC earlier say this. Tim Cowlishaw wrote about this in the Dallas Morning News about Micah Parsons maybe playing.
Brad Sham talked about
this with Sean and RJ earlier today too,
yeah,
about Parsons maybe playing more of a role similar to what we saw last year, Sunday night in Minnesota, with how they used him against Dalvin Cook, where he is more of your traditional linebacker role, not rushing as much. Not that he won't rush at all, but they do play more of that base, and they keep him as a linebacker, kind of just keying on whatever Barkley's doing, because he is the guy that you have to make sure you stop. And if you do, the Giants don't scare you at all.
Yeah,
You still got to get him in the backfield, though. I
Yeah.
think, I think you balance it today. You got to look for chances to turn him loose and totally change the game, especially if it's close. I think like strip sack has to be on your mind, and you're tinkering with all sorts of ways to accomplish that while also making sure Barkley doesn't crush you.
My guys at the Giants were telling me, don't be surprised if Adoree Jackson, the cornerback, travels with
Lamb
in this game. He didn't. He traveled in the first game. He didn't travel in the second game. But my guys were telling me, hey, keep an eye on that one.
It would make a ton of sense if you're a defense.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one guy that you feel like from the wide receiver position right now on the Cowboys could really hurt you.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you put your best guy unless you have two respectable corners or whatever? But I'm hoping for a massive, maybe not massive because I understand the context of where this offense is right now, but like I'm hoping to see a really nice performance out of CeeDee Lamb tonight because they just play a bunch of man. They're going to blitz the heck out of you and they're going to play a bunch of man and hey, CeeDee Lamb, go beat yours.
Yeah. They also say that they're going to get Ojulari and Thibodeau flip sides.
Okay.
So it's not like one plays the right, one plays the left. And they're saying, listen, they feel like that Thibodeau, they're going to put Thibodeau over Tyler Smith.
That'll be a fun matchup to watch.
That's the matchup they think that they could maybe win with right there.
That to me is a huge X factor in this game because the Giants have not really been able to get much pressure on people unless they're blitzing them like Wink Martindale likes to do. No Leonard Williams now, which is a huge loss for them.
Right.
But now you get two respectable bookends that can maybe be those guys that can create some pressure. So it's going to be interesting to see, do they hit the ground running? Ojulari had a nice year last year. Obviously, this will be Thibodeau's first game. But now they have two legit pass rushers, and they haven't had that in the first 2 weeks.
Also think, much like we were talking about Gallup, if he played this week, got to be a pitch count, I would assume, for Thibodeau. I doubt that he plays a ridiculous high number of snaps. It's his first game. He's coming off injury. I would expect he gets eased back in, third down, pass rush situations. That's when you're going to see him tonight.
Yeah, and the final thing here is in the secondary, we talked about Adoree Jackson traveling. They really like their safeties, Julian Love and Xavier McKinney. They like both of those guys a lot. And so if anything in the middle of the field, keep an eye on that because they feel like that their guys can handle that. So let's see where the ball with, the trouble that our quarterback had last week, though, with Cooper Rush, the ball going to the outside.
Right.
Maybe they're going to try and funnel everything to the edge. So keep an eye on that going forward.